I'll come to Suresh. Suresh, we've been talking all Indian brands till now. I don't know whether you felt out of place because you come from a company which is selling FCUK and Puma. So what do you feel that when you heard everybody, what's the difference that you make to the market with those international brands? What is that, I would say that changing point which makes a difference for your selling strategies? Beyond the branding, yes, that goes without saying. Because when somebody enters a store with Puma, so it's 90% war already won. But still, I'm sure the products and everything is a lot more.
Yes, good evening everybody. First of all, thanks to the audience that a lot of them are present here today. Thank you so much for being here and engaging. Coming back to your question, Kishan, I think among the panels that I'm here basically between Sandeep and Sagar, I have been the luckiest basically where I already have a brand in my basket. Okay, so there is no selling required. Okay, but coming back from the purpose bit basically for me and my partner who started this company 2 years back, our whole objective and purpose was to fill in that huge gap that was there in the market. Okay, in the innerwear trade. Okay, if you look at basically there's one brand which is large enough to cater, but as you all know, as we are all aware, that India has a huge market basically to be catered to and one brand is not enough. We can take exactly 10 brands of that size which is currently operating. Okay, and that was the reason basically that we got in. And while we were envisaging on the drawing board basically, we realized that basically India is a very, very aspirational consumer base. And from that perspective, from an aspiration, they also want an international appeal. And if they get an international brand, Sone pe suhaga. So from that point, basically, when we started mulling over basically which brands, how to go about it, that's when we struck upon FCUK. They have another brand called French Connection, which is a premium brand. So coming to the pyramid, we have FCUK at the Mastige range, we have Puma at the mid-premium range, and French Connection at the premium range. So your question of basically building that gap and understanding the whole thing, I think one of the key challenges that we face basically is definitely supply chain. Okay, we've got the brand in place, we've got the product line in place, we've got the international expertise that comes handy for us. But most important for us basically is how do we get that manufacturing at the best price in India is what we're catching up with.
Interesting. So, if I understand that even Puma with that scale also has sourcing challenges from India, but you are confident
Absolutely.
that it will be very soon resolved.
Absolutely. I mean, with more and more players coming up basically in the country, I guess there are manufacturers basically are looking up to this opportunity, okay, with people like us coming in and a lot of other brands basically pitching in. There are manufacturers basically, I mean, SVG, we've been sourcing fabric from them basically, and they are looking at these opportunities and tying and we're collaborating.
Interesting. Before coming to Yash, because Yash has most of the answers that we all need. So let's have the questions all set first. So Pravin, he comes from Athlos. One brand personally I've been following as a new startup and has created waves in a very different manner. We all talk about Activewear as very synthetic material product. And Pravin has tried to create the complete game changer by using natural materials. Right, Pravin?
Yeah, it's natural and recycled as well.
And recycled.
Yeah.
So, Pravin, you've been doing this for last 10 years. And I don't know, how much challenge did you face on the day one when you wanted to create these world-class products with a fancy price? So, selling itself is a challenge, and then sourcing those products at that price is also a challenge when it is not the regular poly spandex per se. So what was the challenge that you faced on day one?
I mean, sourcing definitely and engineering the product to technically, like if you look at Activewear, it's a technical clothing category, right? Like if someone is running like 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers, they really don't care what the fabric is as long as it works. Like after 10 kilometers of run, everyone is like, I don't care what fabric it is. It should make it work. I want to reach that 42 kilometer mark. this fabric works, it works. So, and by pure science, natural fabrics are not really suitable for activewear. They soak up a lot of sweat, they don't dry as fast. So, you know, like engineering and sometimes bringing the best of both worlds, like sometimes combining synthetic with a natural fabric. Then also at Athlos, our step one is we always go either for, the sustainability is more of a team ethic. So we'll either go for recycled or natural. So there is that self-imposed restriction we have on ourselves. So yeah, the challenge was sourcing, but the challenge was also understanding which fabric to use. And we are new in the industry. Like now I can tell you like, which fabric to use, but day one I was clueless. Yeah, so.
Interesting, interesting. So in these 10 years, you were able to figure out finally now that what really works, what sells, and what is not, I would say, easy to produce, but what you can produce in India. Is that right now?
I mean, yeah. So we can say that like we are at the cusp of knowing like this is what works. And if you look at the consumer over the last 10 years or so, we have seen the consumers have also become much more curious. They are also open to trying new stuff. And if you like go down to the basics and everything, I think as a market, we have started getting more open to not just looking for the real value for money product, but redefining what does value for money even means. Like if you're selling something for 7,000, but it does a lot of work and it actually feels genuinely justified for 7,000, the Indian consumer is not gonna shy away from buying it. It's as simple as that. Maybe still early stage, but that's where the future is.
50% good, but that last 10, 20, 50% lies in your hands.
So, thank you for having me here. And let me break down how we see the polyester manufacturing space in India. So, firstly, as we're moving forward, the demand for knitwear which is easy to care for and is comfortable is growing. Now, that also happens to be sportswear. So, like Sandeep said, that track pants are sold more, and like loose t-shirts, all of these are sold more. So what are these? Are these really being sold to, run or to maybe wear to the gym? Half the people who buy these are probably wearing them when they're just walking, even to work now. So that is where the category as a whole, which is comfortable apparel that is easy to care for, is growing. And that, I believe, is where SVG comes in, because we as a company are only focused on polyester. Now, in terms of sourcing, right, like everyone spoke about how sourcing is a challenge. To start, it is probably a challenge greater in polyester because India is relatively new to polyester. Even though we've been doing it for 4 decades now, there are people who've been doing cotton for like 100 years. So we're still always going to be new to polyester. But in the last 4 decades, I think like it was started by my grandfather, our company. So we've grown to understand the finer nuances of polyester. And we've changed the way we work. So to give you an example, initially we used to work more with poly, cotton, do a bit of viscose, do different blends. But now we've realized that every fiber behaves in a unique manner. And for the last, I'd say 7 to 10 years, we've been doing just polyester. Now to run a mill, which is doing 25 tons of dyeing every day and do just polyester would be a nightmare for many. But fortunately, with the kind of clientele that we've built over the years, we're able to run that mill. We're able to do 25 tons every day. But when I spoke to you earlier, I said that the challenge is demand, right? I didn't mean demand of filling this 25 tons. Demand of filling this 25 tons with a product which is of the topmost quality. Like, can I make 25 tons of fabric which is made at the same quality that I do for Adidas and sell it? It's not possible because people are not going to be willing to pay that price. And there are mills in China who are doing just work for Adidas, Lululemon, and their mill is full. So that is where the challenge comes in for a manufacturer, because I have to do something for somebody who's selling at 249 and at 2499, and obviously the fabric parameters differ. So for us, I think one challenge is to try and reach a place where every single fabric that gets out of SVG feels top notch. Because if we can do that, then a lot of our problems are solved, and it's very difficult because someone is going to pay us just 249 for it and someone is paying 2499, but that is also where the challenge lies.
So, Yash, you were talking about some numbers. I'll just not go to brands, but a product that serves at 2499 compared to a product which serves at 249, what is your selling percentage? Who's your bigger buyer?
So obviously volume is at 249, right? So that is where the volume is, and in terms of price, I'd talk about it, let's change it more to fabric. So let's say there's somebody who's buying very base level fabric, it would be probably 300 rupees a kg. Somebody who's buying extremely premium fabric with all kind of parameters would be 800 rupees a kg. So in this, it's not like, obviously the common logic would be that more profit is in the greater price. But I wouldn't say that's always the case, because to achieve that quality, which is going to satisfy that person who's paying 800 a kg, is not very easy in synthetic. And I think it's broadly equal everywhere.
And to serve and to do all this, what kind of innovations, what kind of exposures do you take to serve to the brands of likes of the people you're on the panel with?
So fortunately, a lot of people on the panel, we have been lucky to serve them in some or the other way. And innovation, I think, honestly, is our bread and butter today. So starting from my dad to even now, like after I entered, what do I do? So I cannot understand textiles on day one, but I myself am running marathons, so I can understand what a good running shorts feels like. So for us now, innovation lies in just thinking for the customer and looking at products that are in store. So every month I'm spending about 20-25K on just on buying new products. That essentially is for research and development, but also to know what the consumer is buying. And when we're doing that, we in ourselves are creating a range. So every day we have a innovation team, a few young designers from NIFT, few knitting technicians, few weaving technicians who sit and sample new fabrics every day. About 25 kgs. That means about 5 kgs of, let's say, one design. So that means 5 new designs every day. And in that way, we end up creating a huge collection, and something or the else hits. So I think that is where the problem gets solved.
So interesting, because what I understand in Activewear, innovation is what sells. Price, quality, performance is given. It's like the base of it. But what takes the next step is always innovation. So that's being done very nicely. So I'll just come back to Sandeep. Because one brand that is very close to my heart is Techno Sport, because they have done, in my understanding, the level of innovation which the customer exactly needs. And now, what I loved about them, they're open to share that entire know-how. So I'll just like to know more about that, Sandeep. How and why do you do that? Of opening your trade secrets to the world every day.
See, basically, we are not trying to build a brand or a product or a business or a factory, or you say. We are trying to build a community. So now everybody is saying having a problem. They are saying sourcing ka problem hai. Now, if we build a community, will that sourcing problem be there? It will get solved. Somebody is saying that I'm not able to sell. Somebody is saying I'm not able to buy. Now, when you build a community, the price point comes down. So India, what is the mass population of India? People who can spend around less than 500 on a apparel. They want to spend more on their needs, daily needs. Now, when we build a community, the price comes down because there is a good ecosystem, there is a good nice supply chain, there is a nice consultants like you. Now there is one consultant, we'll be having more consultants, and there is going to be a nice community building there. And in sourcing side also, this will solve the sourcing problem also, and this will solve the solving problem also. So we want to build that community, and we want to, and eventually we'll also end up profitable on that, right? We will also get some benefits out of that. So currently we also have like a lot of challenges in innovation. We are limited to what we see. But when we build the community, I'll be thankful. Shivji will give us more comments. SVG will give their more, and everybody will have all this data, and we will be able to solve कि भाई India में ये fabric चाहिए. अभी the people we used to see containers and containers of tencel coming from China here and there. चाहिए fabric. Community नहीं है. If community was there, why should we get it from China? Why can't we build it here at a good price? SVG is saying we have fabric, we have capacity, but there is no buyers. Now if we build a community, then we make it here, we buy, sell and all this. That is why we are open to technology. We water technology, we are innovating daily. We are open to share that. We are coming out with a new factory where it is going to be innovation center, where we're going to have all the what you call advanced futuristic machines. Either it is towards processing or knitting side, and to the garment side also. All automated machines on the garments and all this thing. It's going to be innovation center, not a production house basically. So anybody from India can come there. Across the world they can come there. They can see how technical textile can be manufactured in India. Indians also can do what China is doing today. That is what is that.
Not just China, I would say, I heard stories that even Uniqlo approached Techno that I want this tech, and they said, you can have this tech, but you have to brand it as Techno, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. Our Cotflex, the Cotflex technology, they had approached us. We've come up with a new innovation called Cotflex, which is having a look of cotton, feel of cotton, and what do you call, a stand, like basically polyester will drape your body, but cotton will not drape your body, it will have a stand. So we have innovated a product called Cotflex. It is 100% polyester, zero lycra. It has got a very good four-way stretch, has a good memory technology, no ironing, nothing. I'm wearing a shirt of Cotflex now, so this is made of Techno Sport, and you'll think that it's a cotton shirt or maybe some blend with the cotton. So we have done one innovation there, 100% polyester, which will have all the features, performance better than polyester, and have a look and feel of cotton.
Superb, superb. So thanks a lot, Sandeep, and thanks a lot everyone on the panel. I believe today we were able to learn a lot of, I would say, give and take from the supply chain, from the brand side, from the selling side, everybody. So if first, then we have these discussions every day. But what is something that you're taking back home from this panel today?
I mean, when I look at the panel and looking at the capacity and how the risk taking involved, I think what I learned is like as the India market, as makers from India or brand builders or innovators from India, we're not shying away from thinking that we cannot compete on the global stage. And that's the biggest takeaway. That.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks a lot. Suresh.
Yeah, I think I've always heard about basically brands like Nine Riders and Techno Sport, but it was good to meet them in person basically and trying to understand basically how they build these brands basically, because in future we are also looking at basically building our own IPs, okay, apart from what we're doing currently, which is driving the multinational brands basically in the country and taking it from there. So thank you very much for the audience.
Superb, superb. Sir.
Yeah, the best takeaway is that to meet all the people, and the way we are talking about the community, yes, definitely we should share our ideas to each other to help the industry to grow. Because the India market is such a big market, the population is growing so fast, it is very, very difficult to get the business, whatever you feel, you can get much, much more business. That's what I'm very happy to have now all we can say we are friends and we'll share each other. Thank you.
Great. So community being built on the stage also. Sagar.
So the greatest learning from this discussion basically, I think first what Shivji said regarding the community basically, like I think it was much needed in the activewear space. Like often when we discussed activewear in India, you know, it was all like either international brands or the unorganized space. There was a huge gap within. I think we're trying to fill that. I think all the legendary names here in the panel. So I really hope the next billion-dollar Indian sports brands to go global are from the panel only.
I'm so happy because that was something which we were discussing before the panel. That sole aim for conceptual strategies is, okay, I am running late by 2 years, but in next 5 years, $1 billion of the industry, domestic and exports, is what we need in India. And more exports, because domestic numbers will never be known rightly. Exports, numbers will be clear. So I'm just looking at $1 billion exports of activewear from India in next 5 years with the legends sitting here and guiding everybody in the industry that how to do it, what to do, what's the next step, and how can we build the Techno sport, the Shiv Naresh, the Athlos, the T10, I'm sorry, I missed the name. Nine riders, everybody. So that is something which is inspiring. And people like Puma who are here and still they say, we want our own brand also. Puma is not something we want to sell more. We want to sell our own Indian brand. So great part for the Indian industry. And thanks a lot, Yash, to be the backbone for most of them and giving everything what they want. Thanks a lot.